I always knew that my family had Indigenous roots. But my parents and grandparents wanted to keep it a family secret. One day there was a knock at the door, and I knew at that moment that I had to find out the truth about my family's METIS and First Nations ancestors. My journey led to an entire nation of METIS and Cree who I discovered are all related to each other through kinship, cultural traditions, and a shared history. I want to make this film because I want to learn from my ancestors. I want to teach my children and my children's children. And that story goes something like this.
Hello.
Hi, what can I do for you?
I'm from Census, Alberta, and we're doing a survey to see how many Native people live in Medicine Hat, and I was wondering if there's any Indians live here.
Hey, Lori. What? Census papers here. Wants to know if any Indians live here. I'll be right there. I'm sorry. There's definitely no natives living here.
Okay, thank you for your time.
So, what did you say to her?
What do you think I said? No, of course.
Shut up. Dad and Grandma are Cree. They speak it. Their skin is brown and your skin is brown. What's the matter with you?
Well, you know I don't want to make them mad, and you know how they don't like us saying that we're native. We're Canadian.
Oh, you're so stupid. Hey, census lady. Excuse me, census lady, you were asking if there was any natives here? My sister doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, I asked her if there was any natives living in your house, and she said no.
Don't listen to her. My dad is part native, so I think I'm part native.
Well, we need to know what kind of Indian you are. You either status, non-status, Métis, Bill C-31, or Inuit.
Well, I know we're not status because you need a treaty card for that. But my dad is, French, and my grandma is from Cumberland House. She's full Cree. So I think that would make us, I don't know.
Well, that would make you Bill C-31 Indian.
Maybe, but what's Métis?
Métis, well, that would be if your ancestors are Native and French. Did you have any family from the Red River settlement?
I'm not too familiar with the Red River area. I think that our last name is Olette, which is French. So, anyways, just mark them all down.
Okay, then. I have to go to the next house. Have a good day.
Okay, thanks. Hey, Cheryl. We need to dig into our roots and know our family history. And sorry for acting like that, but the dad thing, I just don't get. I don't know why he doesn't celebrate his Indigenous.
Well, I think you're right. We need to dig into our roots a little bit, I suppose. We could go to the Friendship Center and see if they could help us out a little bit, but we can't tell Dad.
Okay, we won't tell Dad, okay? And we'll go down there, have some bannock and jam, and find our roots.
Okay. First that.
Yeah. Maybe we'll learn some Cree words, hey? Like cookum means grandma, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, that'd be good. After sitting down with my sister on the step, talking about embracing our Indigenous culture, my dad did overhear, and we did talk to him, and he agreed it's time to embrace the culture, the heritage, and be proud of who we are, and he came along with the journey. And then the grandchildren arrived, and off to the Esplanade we went.
Yeah. See you kids tomorrow at Esplanade at 12:30.
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock. My ancestors died for you guys. Would like to tell you a little bit about them. Why would you feel so bad about being a Métis? Because you got both their white and native in you. So I felt better, and I feel proud. My history of my ancestors, Joseph Ouellette, he was 93 years old. He was my great-grandfather. In the Battle of Batoche, he was killed on the 4th day. What is he doing out there? So there was Moisey Ouellette. He traveled with Louis Riel and Gabriel Dumont. I've been to Batoche twice, and I feel the spirits of the people that were related to me. I could just feel them.
Well, you went back 200 years. This is the Métis flag. It's the oldest flag. It was before Canada, you guys. This is before Canada. And my dad, your grandpa, great-grandpa, just talked about the Métis. So what we're going to do, this is the infinity sign. And Louis Riel said the Métis will rise again through the arts, through dance. So in honor, you used to jig back then. So the grandchildren and myself, we're going to do a little bit of the Red River jig, and then we're going to end with the Métis Circle 8. The Métis will last forever, will live forever, and in our spirit, we got to dance. Right, guys? For Grandpa. Today I'm going to teach you 4 steps, and this is my dad, Ray Ouellette, and he always loves jigging. When you hear the music, you get right into it. But anyways, here we go. So, class, you guys ready? Everybody stand up tall, stomachs in. And so what we're going to do is 1, 2, 3, kick. Flick that ant off your shoe. 1, 2, 3, flick. 1, 2, 3, step on it. Put your feet together and step forward. It's not really nice to step on spiders. And then the next one is get on the horse and go 1, 2, on the horse. 1, 2. Right? So, but lift it up. Go 1, 2. Everybody doing that? Good job. So the next one is crisscross, and you crisscross your legs. 1. Everybody doing it? Good job. Yeah? Good job. Right? Last one, basic. 1, 2, 3. Circle this way. Catch your breath. Circle the other way. Are they doing it right, Dad? Grandpa? And then you take a breath. And then you go like this. Smile. Give yourself a hand. After the Esplanade, we then sit down and speak with the grandchildren on how their grandfather inspired them, motivated them to be the best that they can be. Sadly, he passed away May 3rd, 2021, but his spirit lives within them. Okay, so I just want to share with you my roots. About 30 years ago, Stats Canada came to the door of Grandpa's house, and they asked if there was any Indians here, and they asked if there was status, non-status, Métis, Bill C-31, and Inuit. And we grew up as hidden, like we wouldn't say we were Native, because my dad said he wouldn't get a job. So when you look at my sister, she looks the most native out of all of us. And then there's me, and then there's Brenna. I'd always say we're the Neapolitan gang, because she's chocolate, strawberry, vanilla. But, so when Cheryl answered the door, it kind of upset me. She said we're all Canadian. So I had to dig into my roots and find out what is status, non-status, Métis, Bill C-31, Inuit. So I looked at my grandmother, my Cree grandmother. She would speak Cree all the time when I'd visit her in Flin Flon. And she had pin curls in her hair. She raised 12 kids. And she was also in residential school. She had to speak English and French in order to have groceries. So she wouldn't talk her native language. And my English-Scottish grandma, it seemed like we grew up on her side of the fence and not my grandma's. So I wanted to dig into my roots, and I did. And I found out that the Métis, there's like, they were before Canada, there's Red River Métis. And our lineage, Joel and Grayson, goes to a great-grandfather who fought in Batoche at 93, and he fought for you guys, the grandchildren, because the Redcoats, Ottawa, didn't want the Métis to run the show, so instead they brought in the Redcoats, and they were fighting 350 Métis. So his last word at 93, he was a hunter, not a soldier, and he fought for you guys. He fought for the rights of the Métis people. So that's what I found out. And so my journey, the next 7 generations, is up to you guys to keep the culture alive, to learn the language, to learn our roots, and to be one with Canada. Like, you know, Caden and Zach, you know, you're non-Indigenous, but you're sitting here joining the table because you want to learn about who we are and what we're all about. So get ready for the journey. And I'm going to pass you the eagle feather, and you guys can just speak from your heart and anything that you can remember, what he taught you, or a funny story, whatever. It's our little sharing circle. Here you go, Joel.
My grandpa, Raymond, was a strong man. He was very caring for his family. He always put other people first, and I think he had a rough childhood and a rough beginning. His family was poor. I remember him, he would say he'd like only eat
Sleep on the floor.
Sleep on the floor, yeah, and eat like sugar packets for food and eat cereal out of water. And I think he cared for his family a lot, and he was, I don't know, he was nothing short of a legend. He was an inspiring man and a role model. He would leave his doors open for everyone, and he would always be on his family's side, and he loved to eat Morris.
Yeah.
Raymond showed me a lot of things. I may have not known him as long as you guys, but in the time I did know him, I was able to gain a grandfather in a way. Raymond, he's really funny. He had a lot of stories, always was able to tell them a new one every time. Maybe the odd time there'd be the same story over and over, but it was still good to hear it. Raymond, I wish we could just see him again one last time, but thankfully we have this great film here to help show his life and learn more about him and your guys' culture. Through Raymond, I was able to learn lots. A big lesson that I can think of is everything is fine in moderation. I think in our world we overdo things, and Raymond taught me that it's okay to treat yourself with things or enjoy things, but there has to be a limit, because if there's no balance, it's not going to work out. Through Raymond, I think we can all learn stuff. We all did. And through this story, I hope other people can learn stuff, because that's the most important thing is uniting and learning. teaching yourselves about each other is really important, right? So I really hope that that's something we can do here. And yeah, thank you for just inviting me over. It's nice to be a part of this. I hope Raymond's looking down and he's probably sitting here right now. He's proud of us, right? So it's really cool that we can teach his story to other people, I think.
I didn't know Raymond a whole lot, but from the couple times I did meet him, he was loving, caring. Found out really quick that he was a real funny guy. And yeah, he just opened the doors for everyone. Like, he always had a place to stay at Raymond's, and just a real nice guy. Always made you laugh. And yeah, one of the stories I do have of Raymond is where we were in the backyard. It was about 3 a.m. We were trying to boost Joel's old Accord with a straight pipe truck, and it was pretty loud. And he ended up waking up and coming outside, and the only thing he said, he's like, "Well, what the heck's going on out here? I thought the Russians were coming." It was pretty funny. Yeah, felt bad for waking him up, but it was a good story. Yeah. Just want to say thank you for inviting me out here, and I only knew Raymond a little bit, but it was great to be involved in this, and just want to say thank you, and yeah, miss you, Raymond. Yeah.
My grandfather was always like a father figure to me. He never put me down, even when I was doing bad. When I was drowning my wounds and my traumas in substances. I have like very early memories of Grandpa taking me to the store after my baseball games and buying me food. And my grandpa bought me my first skateboard 15 years ago. It was my first love, and I've loved it ever since. The reason why we skate is to balance our medicine wheel. Skating is an emotional, mental, physical, spiritual workout. It is also a healthy addiction. I've made lifelong friendships through skateboarding. There's a sense of community in it that can be hard to find elsewhere. The skateboarding culture has helped me design the Red Road to Wellness program and launch skateboards with the help of artist Rob Anderson that represent Indigenous heritage and empower Indigenous youth. The METIS flag represents the infinity sign that the Métis will live forever. He was always very encouraging and supportive and understanding and very selfless. When he died, actually, I was living in Vancouver, and I hadn't seen him for like 7 or 8 months. And I got the news that he died, and it was devastating, to say the least. Yeah, I don't know, it just left me with unanswered questions, and I wish I could just have one more conversation with him. But I love my grandpa, and I'll always carry on his legacy.
Thank you. Yeah, we have joy with him and sorrow, and he's up in heaven right now, looking down at us, flying like an eagle. And remember when he'd make bannock all the time with you? That's a picture of you when you're making bannock. And he has lots of grandchildren now and great-grandchildren. So it's up to all of us to embrace all the teachings that he taught you. And he opened the door to everybody. He adopted you. These Métis sashes are here. You're adopted into the Olette clan. You showed up when we were all gone in a film. Nobody was there, but you were there for him, Caden. Mm-hmm. And he said, man, that Joel should listen to Caden. Mm-hmm. He's got good business ideas, and Why isn't he like Caden a little bit? But yeah, so that's what, it's important to keep the legacy. So it's important to go into the future and be proud to be Red River Métis, to be proud to learn from us. We adopted you guys into our clan, and to keep soaring into the future. And then loves us all. So Kasagitan. So can everybody say Kasagitan?
Kasagitan.
So love you. You guys did great. Keep the culture alive and our ancestors alive, your grandpa. So thanks. Tea time.
Tea time.
Right? Our cups are empty. We'll have another sit down, another circle next week. To understand my lineage more in depth and who I am as a Red River Métis of Métis Nation of Alberta, I had to speak with my cousin Breen Ouellette, who's a lawyer, and he is going to share 7 generations past to 7 generations future.
Hi, my name is Breen Ouellette. I'm a Métis person, originally from what is now known as Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. My ancestors include Joseph Jose Ouellette and Marguerite Madeline Trottier, as well as my great-grandfather George William Ouellette, and my grandfather Laird Ouellette, who was a world-class dog musher. On another one of my lines, I have a third great-grandmother whose name was Marguerite Madeline Trottier, and she was born in Pembina, North Dakota. It was a very small place at the time, back in the late 1700s. From a very young age, Marguerite was noted for her beauty, and she was actually nicknamed the Beauty of the Northwest. At 12 years old, a man approached her father and asked to purchase her as a slave, which her father refused. And as time went on, she had more and more suitors, a Dakota Sioux chief, several Cree men, and several Frenchmen. And her father was French. She was mixed. Her mother was likely Cree. But her father asserted his rights as a Frenchman and a father to decide who she married. And in the end, he married her to a man named Jutra, a Frenchman, thinking that would keep her safer in the dangerous territories. And he was very wrong. Jutra decided to move from Pembina to Fort Qu'Appelle and work for the Northwest Company. And he rose through the ranks very rapidly, and the bourgeoisie leader of that fort, his name was Mackenzie, he tapped Jutra to be one of the 6 men to take furs from Fort Qu'Appelle back to Red River to be sent back to the Old World. And Jutra, in his hubris and arrogance, decided he would take Marguerite and their 6-month-old baby through very dangerous territory. They got to a place where the river was narrow and shallow, and suddenly arrows were flying, and the 4 men in the first 2 canoes fell over, struck by arrows. And Jutra and his paddle partner jumped in the river and ran away upstream and left Marguerite Madeline and the baby afloat in the final canoe. And then about a month later, Marguerite Madeline walked out of that fort, and she got in a canoe with some other paddlers, and she continued her own journey back to Red River. And when she got there, she found her father looking for her because he'd heard something had happened, but he didn't know exactly what. And she told her father in no uncertain terms that the country marriage to Jutra never happened as far as she was concerned. She moved back to Pembina with her father and lived there for several years until she met my ancestor, Antoine Cuthbert Gingras. Together they had 2 children. Their younger daughter was my ancestor, my second great-grandmother. She was named Marguerite, and she eventually married my second great-grandfather, Saint-Pierre Ouellette. However, their son, their older son, was Antoine Blanc Gingras, and he became the richest man in North Dakota due to his trading post outfit. And he was also an incredibly close friend of Louis Riel. He was a benefactor of the resistance at Red River, And when Louis had to flee Canada because he was wanted to be hung after Red River, he went directly to Antoine Gingras' trading post to be kept safe. Marguerite Madeleine Trottier lived a very full life. She died in her mid-80s, and there are many other stories about her and her resilience and strength. But she was known to sit outside the trading post in Pembina and just talk to people about what had happened to her. We as a people can look back to our ancestors and rediscover what the colonizers tried to take from us. And we can use that to modernize it and bring it forward, to take that idea of responsibilities to others, clearly defined, knowable responsibilities to others that help lift the community. And we can use that to govern ourselves in the way that we once did. Now, one of the greatest gifts that a person can receive is the gift of life. And because the blood of José Ouellette and Marguerite Madeleine Trottier flow through my veins, their example is the responsibility to live up to what they have done in their lives. It is a beautiful gift and a heavy burden, and I hope I never have to take a bayonet in the stomach over it.
My dad just loved the grandchildren. They were the apple of his eye, all of them. And Shayla Ouellette Stonechild would always speak very well, and she is an advocate for Indigenous peoples of the land. And my father was very proud of her, and he was a public speaker too. And he said, you know, Shayla, you ought to be in politics. So here she is advocating for Indigenous people of the land, and she is the next generation, and may the spirit, the legacy of her grandfather live within her.
When we talk about shifting into a new earth frequency, it's not really a new earth. It's actually reclaiming indigenous knowledge and wisdom and ancient teachings that have been here for centuries. We have just lost our way through colonization and through capitalism and through the patriarchy. And I laugh because some people don't like hearing that, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that the law of creation has been here for centuries. And so right now we're in a pivotal moment for humanity. It's becoming clear to us that we can't live the way we've been living. The way we have been living has been short-term satisfaction. It's been short-term wealth, it's all super short-term. What are the long-term effects that we are making on our planet as a whole? Mother Earth is going through a state of cleansing right now. As I'm speaking, there's smoke outside of Vancouver. You can barely see the ocean. The whole West Coast is on fire. This pandemic that's happened has shown us how fragile our life is. And so how many more lives, natural disasters, suicides do we have to go through for us to start waking up and doing the work? And I'm here today to say it starts with you, and your actions have the ability to affect the whole. Once you start doing those daily actions, it will create a ripple effect throughout humanity. And the first step is becoming aware of it, looking at our shadow aspects of a country, but also the shadow aspects within ourselves and how we may hold biases and how we may be racist and how we may not be living in our truth because we're trying to live up to someone else's truth. So my question is, what is your truth? And how are you going to move forward in this new earth timeline? Are you going to still grasp onto this illusion of control? Because it's become very clear that we have no control over what is happening right now. But we do have control of our own inner escate. Yeah. See, I told you. Everyone says I get deep, and I do sometimes. a smudge. So, again, reclaiming Indigenous values, wisdom. Smudging is a ceremony, it's a state of purification. It's coming back to that balance, mind, body, spirit connection. So thank you, Creator Hi, for allowing us to gather virtually and to be in community from wherever everyone is tuning in from. Just taking a moment to acknowledge the traditional territory that you're currently tuning in from. Acknowledging the generation that was here before us, the generation that is here now, and the generation that has yet to come, for sharing space virtually. I pray for abundance physically, mentally, emotionally for each participant, and for clarity and guidance in the next few months, and how to walk forward in a good way that is good for the impact of all of us, and how we can heal from the past, reunite within the present, and form a more humane pathway forward. Thank you, Creator Hi, for all the opportunities and for allowing me to be a vessel and a voice for this workshop. So, what message do we need to be brought forward for the collective to serve our highest good? It's funny how things always line up. I was just saying we're smudging for purification. Purification, the sweat lodge. When you go into a sweat, you go in with an intention, a dedication. When it gets so hot you can barely handle the heat, you just think about your intention. You think of what you are there. You sacrifice yourself to align with something outside of you, to align with a higher power, to align with God, to align with Creator, whatever you call Source. So coming back to purification, coming back to the sweat lodge ceremony, we're in a process of purification within humanity right now, with the fires, with Mother Earth cleansing herself. And so what do you need to purify? What do you need to let go of so that you can walk in a new way, so that you can become who you're meant to be on this planet?
My people will sleep for 100 years, but when they awake, it will be the artists who will give them their spirit back. We are resilient, we are adaptable, and we persevere into the next generation. As Louis Riel stated, deeds are not accomplished in a few days or in a few hours. A century is only a spoke in the wheel of everlasting time. What a journey it has been, digging into my roots, finding out about who the Red River Métis are, a strong people. My father wanted this film to be called The Strength of the Métis. I am Red River Métis. I am Swampy Cree. And I also am mixed ancestry. I am Lori Olette, the Artistic Director of Sunworks Arts and Cultural Society.